I'm Shirin.
I'm Kyan.
I'm Taraneh.
And we are Unmarried Persian Girls.
Layla, layla, lay. Layla, layla, lay. La 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 layla, lay.
Hi, hello, salam, durud. Welcome to another episode of Unmarried Persian Girls. Meow. We are very happy to be here with you. Thank you for tuning in. As I mentioned, my name is Shirin. I am 32 years old. I live in the UK, and I am not everyone's cup of tea.
My name's Kyan, and I usually tend to be everyone's cup of tea, but sometimes you never know. Born in the US, grew up in Canada, but 100% Persian.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Taraneh. I'm 22 years old, and since we're talking about cups of teas, I'm everybody's cup of tea. I was born and raised in Iran, and then I came to Canada 5 years ago. Really happy with my life.
Nice.
All right, guys. So here at UPG, Unmarried Persian Girls, we're going to talk about the very unique experience of growing up as being an unmarried Persian girl in Iran, outside of Iran. There's a lot of issues that have just not been spoken about because it's zisht. It's just not supposed to be spoken about.
Taboo.
It's taboo. So yeah, we're going to get into it, and we might get into some trouble, but we're here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love getting in trouble.
You look like you do.
By the way, this is an opinion show. We're just talking about our own opinions and
Is
our
it?
own experiences. It is. Shirin. But if you don't agree with us, which is pretty normal, do leave us a comment and tell you about what you think. And
Yeah,
if you think
I dare
I'm
you.
wrong,
Leave a comment,
do leave me a comment. If you think we're wrong, do leave us a comment, and then we'll respond and tell you that we're not wrong, okay?
Yes, and this episode, we want you to leave your comment about this topic that we are going to talk about, which is whether Iranians who have been living in the West, so aka Western Iranians, can and are able to date fresh off boats Iranians. I mean, I don't like to use this term.
Like
Kyan will
traditional
explain more,
Iranians.
but I would say Iranians who had recently left the country and have entered the Western world.
That's right. So let's define this correctly. So fob, for short, fresh off boat, literally means an Iranian in this example that recently came from Iran and brings with them, their Iranian mentality and value system and this and that.
And clothes.
Yes. So can they date Western Iranians? And I guess I would be considered a Western Iranian. Would Taraneh be a fob? I don't know. It's like, and by the way, we don't mean this.
I'm fob. You know why? Because I know all Gugush and Abby songs.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so that's a fob.
I mean, that's every Iranian, regardless of being fob or not, should know.
She doesn't know.
I don't know that stuff, man.
I've dated Western Iranians. They don't know, and I know, and I'm like, wow.
Right.
Hello.
And by the way, we
Wait,
don't mean
hold on
this.
a second. Before we get into the show, please, I'm sorry, producer. Let me say this thing. Kyan, you keep introduce yourself as mostly Persian. I am so Persian, regardless that I was born here. You don't know Ebi and Gugush songs?
Of course I know them, but I don't know every Ebi and Gugush song.
Shame,
Like
that's a
I know that is trust me, I know. I've heard
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Zen.
So by the way, we don't mean fob in an offensive way. It's just it's a term that's used pretty often
In America.
in the West. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, I will say that Iranians that recently come from Iran, or AKA FOBs, when you compare them to Iranians that grew up in the West, culturally, it's like drastically different. It's like, it's almost like comparing a Chinese person to Iranian person culturally. For me, for example, I grew up in the West. I grew up around a lot of white people. I love hip hop music. I watched Seinfeld, How I Met Your Mother. I had listened to a specific kind of music and watched TV shows that literally make up who I am. Now, when you compare it to someone I don't know, Taraneh, for example, example, you listened to a lot of Gugush. You had to wear the hijab, and you had to date I've heard this literally, that growing up as a teenager in Iran, because of like the Islamic Republic, because there's Basiges, I don't know what they translate to in English. They you have to, everything is behind the curtain. You have to do everything secretly.
The morality
I didn't
police is
exactly
there, yeah,
right. So I didn't have that experience. I sat in a positive way. I grew up in a free country, so I wasn't restricted in that sense, but I was restricted family wise.
But how does that affect your opinion in terms of this topic? Like,
I'm just saying, like, when you're so drastically different to someone culturally, it does not work. Yeah. And trust me, I've had the experience. I'll bring it up later on.
I mean, I definitely agree with you, because what I have experienced is that, so I think I'm something in between of you and Taraneh. So between of Kyan and Taraneh, in terms of like, I have lived in outside Iran back and forth, and now it's been like many years that I've been here, and I don't date Iranians, so culturally I am more adapted to the Western culture. And what I cannot tolerate with someone who has freshly left Iran and came here, it's nothing against them. It's the difference of point of views and like perception of how a relationship should be.
Right.
I'm not saying whichever is better or worse.
Yes.
I'm just saying it's extremely difficult to know that a man, well, I'm a heterosexual woman, so I'm going to talk about men fresh off the boat, off boat. There are such like roles for men and women are so defined in an Iranian culture in a way that limit me as a woman, that is unbearable. For instance, men see themselves as like, oh, I have to take care and like be the guardian of the woman, and the woman supposed to be weak, not knowing how to deal and like work around things. It's this perception embedded into their mindset. And the other thing that I want to say, and I'm not going to talk too much, is just the pride. I want to, like, we can talk about it, and I want to see if you guys have experience. Men in our culture have pride, whereas nobody thinks about the fact that women can have pride. So a lot of times my pride has been smashed by male characters in my like relatives, from ex-boyfriends and all of that. It's like, oh, غرورشو نشکن, don't hurt his pride, but they can say whatever to you and not think that, oh, this person. So these are deep differences that make it unbearable.
Yeah, no, I ditto to that. I this is something that I noticed too. Like the Iranian men that come more recently from Iran have that, it's like they have to have control in the relationship. They're supposed to be the breadwinner. They're supposed to be the ones in control of the relationship, and the female is supposed to just be obedient and cook and clean and raise the kids. Now that's what I felt, at least. That's been my experience. I know, Taraneh, you've literally dated a Westernized Persian.
Yeah,
so why don't
a lot of them. Yeah.
So you're literally a live version of a fob here.
Who, me?
Yes,
honestly, yes. Compared to Westernized, they call like all my really, really Westernized friends call me fob. Yeah, like they would say something and I totally don't understand. So I am a fob. Yeah. But honestly, I do agree with the gender roles, because when I came to Canada, this guy that was born here wanted to date me, and it was so weird for me to date someone that's not traditional like me. One is that I didn't even have my first kiss yet. And then
How old were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
And then I was like, if I wanna date this guy, like he was born here, he's been fucking everyone every day. Like I can't date him.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He was 18.
Naughty girl.
Yeah.
Quit
Canada
sugar
is
mama.
bad. Other than that, these guys, it's not him, but another guy, like the Westernized guys, I came from Iran, so gender roles, I still believed in them. He didn't pay for my food. And
How dare he? That is something that comes up actually.
like in Iran, you can't even, girls, it's rude for a girl to pay.
Yeah.
But these Westernized guys want you to pay for your food. So I can't do that.
How is that even
And-
possible? How rude is that?
So it's like we're so different.
Yeah.
And when I would go out with a Westernized guy, like Persian girls are known to be like Persian cats, and they're so spoiled and they don't get it. They don't get it. And
Well, I have had the opposite end of that. As a Westernized Iranian living in the West, I somehow fell into the trap of dating a extremely fobby Iranian, meaning he like recently came here. Don't ask me how. I was young and naive and stupid, whatever you want
they
to call
have
it.
game. Trust me. I
My
don't blame
God,
you.
do they have game? That's the thing,
Amazing.
and that's one thing that's brought up a
Yeah.
lot. Actually, they say that Iranians that grew up in the West, kheli sadan, like they're
Oh
very
my
simple.
God. But-
Like the ones that grew up in Iran are like they know the game. They know how to like
they're amazing
maneuver the
at
way.
it.
They're like, I hate to say this about my own culture, but they're expert liars. You know.
Yeah.
Good ones, yeah.
So listen, for me, let's move past the point that I fell into the trap. Sometimes you don't have control over who you fall for. You're stupid like me. let's say.
You were nice.
So it was right off the bat, like I was like he made it clear that I'm not allowed to have male friends, and that to me is like
How did he make it clear? Like,
like he made it clear. He found his way. So I'm a girl who grew up with two brothers and like a million male cousins, and naturally I got along with guys and not in a sexual way in any way. Not like you, Taraneh.
why?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Right. So
said she's such a traditional girl. What are you
I
talking about?
am.
I know, I'm just kidding. It was just there. I had to. So right off the bat, I had to cut off ties with all my male friends just because of jealousy. That was number one. Being ghairati, there's no term for being ghairati in English, right?
It's
exclusive to the Persian culture,
illusions,
right?
yeah.
So I had to basically be this obedient girlfriend. Like he literally got mad at me one time because he asked me to put my hair up one day, and I didn't like my hair up, so I just left it down. So when I go into the car, he like yelled at me for not putting my hair up. Did I? Yes, of course I did. But the point was that because I didn't listen to him, I was not an obedient girlfriend. He got mad at me. He's like, "How dare you not put your hair up?" So,
I mean, that's a little bit surprising. Like that was a slightly extreme. This guy was not really. I don't think that he was mentally
normal,
stable
but
or something.
You say that, but trust me, like I've seen a lot of his types here in Toronto.
Yeah,
right.
Me too. Like what I want to say is that that has exactly happened to me. Not about my hair, but about the fact that they are very like the mindset is like, I allow or don't allow something, and this is the way you should act, and there is no other way about it. And if you don't do it, or if you like say, "What did you just say to me?" or something, they take guard. So, in terms of Shirin, what do you call it? Like in terms of respect as a human with like independent being, as an independent being, this is not defined for a person who's just come out of Iran.
Exactly.
It's very difficult.
And on that point too, there was this is just one example out of a million that I have in my back pocket. I have a friend of a friend who was dating a 16-year-old in Iran, and this gentleman came back and forth from Iran and Canada. A 16-year-old, and he's like, I don't know, he was in his early 30s, let's say.
The girl was 16?
Yeah, the girl was 16. And the mutual friend, my friend, asked him, like, so why are you dating a 16-year-old? Keep in mind, my friend grew up here. And this gentleman who, like, let's say he's a fob, said that, I can mold her to become my ideal wife because she's 16. I can mold her to become what I want. So, that mentality exists amongst Iranian men.
Persian
not all,
men,
but a lot of them.
Persian men that are fob here, in my own experience, have absolutely very, very, very low respect for women.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to generalize, but time and time again, I've seen the same thing, and it's just the reality of it.
Yeah, like I used to work at a restaurant, and people didn't know that I speak Farsi, so I would go to the table, and they would start talking really, really disrespectful about me or other girls in front of me, so I would understand. And this one time, they were so rude in front of me. They're like, oh my god, look at her ass. And then I was like, excuse me, I understand Farsi, shame on you.
Yeah, good.
But that's a really sad experience. Other than that, guys, I like to browse.
It is very sad. Like, I'm just thinking how you must have
I felt so bad. And they were sitting with their wives and there was and kids and grandmother. And then I went to my manager, and when I'm like, I'm not going back to that table anymore.
Yeah.
So disgusting.
Yeah. There seems to be a huge lack of respect amongst Iranian men and Iranian women.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to gender roles.
Huh?
It goes back to gender roles, just the expectation that the men are supposed to hold all the power and the women have to be soft-spoken, obedient, and follow everything the gentleman says.
Okay, you guys, I like to browse my options.
Mm-hmm.
So
you mean with men?
With men.
Okay, good.
Boys.
Girl. You have to. That's how you learn.
So I've been out talking on dates with like a handful of people.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, language barriers are really important because like if he doesn't understand قرمه sabzi, or like if I can't tell him arva amat, I can't connect with him.
Wait, did you just say arva amat?
You don't even understand.
You
that.
said it weird though. You didn't say it right. No, of course I do. Arva amat. Yeah.
You're right. Because these two terms are the most important things that you should be talking about.
I like to laugh, okay, right. But like with like not Westernized Persians, but like them too, but like non-Persian people, I just can't connect because we don't have that much common things to talk about. And especially when a lot of the Persian guy, I would say something in Farsi, and then when he says what, when he doesn't understand me, I'm like, okay, we can't do this. But also, let me tell you this, Persian accent is the biggest turn off for me. Like the hottest guy would come, we're at a restaurant, and then when he opens his mouth and he has a Persian accent ordering Vine. I can't.
So how were you able to get rid of your accent? It's just like, I'm dumbfounded.
I don't know. I just had it in me. Don't worry about that. That doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, I was dating this really, really hot guy. He was so hot.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, he was rich and he had everything. But
the accent
had
kills
an accent.
Yeah, I mean,
communication.
A lot of guys are watching this right now. He's like, she's talking about me.
Oh, that's me. No, boss, it was me. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I thought it was just me. I thought because you more recent from Iran, you're okay with it.
No,
but
I can't.
Yeah, no,
So that's it's not a red flag, but that's a no too. Like I would say it's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have empathy for them too. If an Iranian comes with I don't like to use the term fob, guys, but I'm going to. So
do
traditional.
Traditional person.
Traditional Persian.
Yeah, a
Iranian,
fresh
Persian
Iranian.
Iranian.
We would say fresh Iranian.
Fresh, yeah, I like that. Fresh. Yeah.
If
Positive
if
twist.
a fresh Iranian comes here, I think their confidence is already like, if they are
I
not confident,
know.
they know about the accent.
I'm not
And
saying
I
there's
think
anything
it's
wrong with it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. And on my Instagram page, I like my mom has an accent, and like I laugh at her. Like there's no
Yeah,
problem with
of
that. But I can't make love to someone who has an accent.
yeah. So like
Yeah, by the way, have you seen
there.
have you ever watched Persian porn? It is
There
disturbing.
is Persian porn?
Yes,
Porn?
it's disgusting.
Persian
That's my mother tongue. I don't ever want to hear it being used that way. But anyway.
Okay,
Okay.
girls, focus.
yes, we're back to you. Oh, we're here? Okay.
Okay.
I
Life's
think the thing is that communication is what the whole problem and barrier here would be,
Yeah.
in terms of the way we live, the way a fresh Iranian would is accommodated, is like used to live, and the way we live, lifestyle is extremely important, because if you're dating a person, you have to spend a lot of your time with them, right? And the hobbies, their taste in movie, for instance, I cannot tolerate watching Persian Iranian series, even if they are amazing, like Shahzad. Okay, everyone tells me Shahzad is different. You should watch that. I can't. And if I was with some hala har Iranian, I would still not be able to tolerate. And there is another thing that I want to talk about, guys, is that for me, I'm not I don't follow trends in terms of looks and appearance and like the society's expectations and stuff. And here it's quite acceptable. So like there is always someone for a certain type. There's variety. Whereas with fresh off both Iranians,
fresh.
There is like one and only one type that is acceptable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I agree completely. Listen, successful relationships are usually defined by having a lot in common with that person. Like, listen, this is the perfect match. If you have this, it's okay. If you have this, not so good. If you're like this is me and this is a fresh Iranian, how does that work? Like you were saying, Shirin, like I don't want to watch Shahrzad. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And I like during my time of dating a fresh Iranian, that was my world. I was going to all these like, mehmunis and stuff where everybody was speaking Persian, and I like somehow adapted to it. But that wasn't being true to myself.
Yeah,
That's not who I am. And obviously it was doomed from the beginning. So it wasn't until I started dating, like, listen, my Persian culture is extremely important to me. I want to make jokes. I want to talk about like, oh, remember in Farsi class when like, I want to talk about this stuff. So, I came to the conclusion after having one extreme, I was like, you know what? I think I need to date Persians who grew up here, like myself, have more in common. And quickly I realized this is it. This is my bucket. This is my dating bucket. I can't go, I tried dating like, white and I don't know, Spanish, different cultures. It's still
you're still different. Yeah.
Because my culture is important to me. I needed someone like myself. And, that's what I found at least.
Can I add something to what you said, Kyan?
Please do. Yes.
Because I just remembered this and it's very helpful. So because we are talking about couples and relationships and dating and like difference in culture and everything, I think listening to podcasts of Esther Perel, she is a guru in like couples therapy, would be very helpful. She specifically specialized in in different cultures dating each other or being in a relationship together. And on one of the episodes, this girl has left everything of her life from Brazil and married a guy in America, New Jersey.
Okay.
She's left her family, language, and like everything for this guy. And they go to Esther Perel, and she is like, right, so are you feeling the voids that she has from her immigrating from her family, her background, her job, her life, and everything? And he was like, well, I think she likes to listen to jazz music. And she was like, well, if you want to help her feel better, sometimes it's okay to play some Brazilian music. So I'm saying, if we are dating a fob, it's good to like be aware of this thing.
Right. I mean, it goes back to what you identify as. Listen, I've known Iranians that grew up here in the West, like, you know, born and raised here, but they're the most Iranian people I've ever met. Like they're so attached to the culture that in those cases, maybe it works. But in my case, like where my upbringing, my pop culture references, my jokes, my humor, everything is Western and with, you know, sprinkles of Persian in it.
Yeah, so
I'll describe it that way. So I want something like that.
It's not necessarily someone just moving from Iran.
Right.
It's just the fact that if you have any common activities with them.
Exactly.
Like, you would call me Fob, and my boyfriend has been here for 13 years. He shouldn't be a fob. He's a fucking fob. We watch Persian shows together. So, like, we're both fobs, but, like, he's been here for, like, 13, 14 years. So, you can still be a fob if you're not fresh from Iran. So, it's all about having common activities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like, we usually, like, if we're talking, we're speaking Farsi. But... So, you know, like, we both do that.
Right. See, in my case, I'm with someone. I'm with someone. I'm making it weird. I have a boyfriend who is Iranian, who's like me, who grew up here, and we speak English with sprinkles of Persian.
I lied. Yeah, we do too.
Why are you trying to copy me? What the hell is this?
Because you're pretty.
How about me?
Oh, you are too.
You too.
Totally.
You're in London, so we forget about you sometimes.
Okay.
Honestly, one of the reasons that I couldn't last with a Westernized Persian guy.
What's that?
Was the sex expectations.
Please elaborate. I am so
curious.
Really?
Yeah, like for me, I have rules for myself. Like.
No, go on. Like, go ahead, Sposh.
My first like boyfriend had to wait 6 months for me to kiss him. So
wow, you really made a move.
And then he waited 2 years for us to have sex, but we still didn't. So
your mother will be so proud.
Oh my God, Mama! Fuck,
but you know that's watching this. But you know that's not the case. Like for all Iranians that grew up in the West, like it depends on how. I think it's different for guys.
I think a Westernized guy would never do that. He'd be like, "Fuck you."
Right. I mean,
I think there are different types here. Like even here, you don't need to quickly go into the sex stage with even a non-fob
What's
person.
funny is that I found the opposite. I found the Iranians that are more recent from Iran are more sexually active than Iranians here. They're into some kinky shit like threesomes, fucking gangbang, and I'm like, whoa, like I need to like get out of this world. And they are like,
oh my God, you're absolutely right. I just remembered this.
Right.
They are so porn oriented.
I don't like
they see everything
so how about
in
the
world of porn,
ones?
whereas porn is absolute unreal.
How about the Westernized ones?
From my point of reference and point of view, it seems very clear that the ones over there, like it's as if they're watching Hollywood movies, and like, you know, in Hollywood movies there's a lot of sexual activity, like, oh, that's normal, I think I'll just have a lot of threesomes. But that's not reality over here. Like listen, it's case by case, like obviously it's not, I mean, we're not trying to generalize,
girl,
but when I compare the Iranians that grew up here to the Iranians that are more recent, it really seems like they're more sexually active.
Okay, maybe they're active, I don't know, but when I would go out with Westernized guys, they would
Westernized Persians, right?
Persians.
Okay.
They would wanna like do something on the first date, and that's not okay.
Oh,
No.
that's just being Persian, my darling. Persian man.
I mean, listen, I have a close friend of mine. He's a Westernized Iranian like myself. He's a very close friend. He recently went on a date with a like fresh or fobby Persian girl. I guess it was a setup. And you know, on this date, I guess the girl shows up with a lot of designer stuff and like, you know,
Gucci.
plastic surgery and stuff. So I think my friend panicked a bit. So on the first date, he was like, okay, this is my expectation of how a relationship works. We both work and, you know, what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine, but we share some of it too. And her response to that was like, actually, like you work and I take care of things at home. But it's a choice for me to work if I want to. What's yours is yours. No.
What's
I
mine?
fucked up. What's mine is mine. What's yours is also mine.
It's ours.
So then, you know, like it's like completely
Good for her.
different mental.
That is what we call
I
a
disagree.
relationship.
No, sweetheart. I disagree. I
But
mean,
that's totally the case with Persian families, and it's crazy.
listen, like in the West, like ladies, we have worked so hard to be able to work, to fucking go to work, earn a living. Why are we letting that go? Why are we trying to go back to the like old ages of staying at home and cooking and cleaning? No, this is wrong. Like
I just don't understand, why would a woman get money from her husband? Like he's not your dad. Like, why would you go up to your husband?
But
and
this
ask
is
for money?
this
Go
is the
make your own
problem.
money.
This is the problem. A lot of Iranians that like I'll talk about the females. They come here with that mentality that, you know, okay, fine, I'll get educated and work for a little bit, but when I get married, the expectation is that the man is going to go out there, earn a living, and it's optional for me to work. You know, that's how it is from my point of view. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So this you hit the nail on the head, ladies. Like, this is the problem, that being okay, I would put this all what we are talking about like feminism, right? It's empowering women. It's like telling them that you don't need to act like a man, to be like a man, to be identified as an independent being and powerful and take the control of your life and everything. But personal first-hand experience, people attack me, people who hate me message me, supposedly want to insult me and say, you're a feminist, aren't ya? And I'm like, yeah.
Wait, these are Iranians that message you saying
Yes.
this? What?
I mean, feminism or feminists in Iran, a feminist person is a bad, so it's an insult.
Are you
call
kidding? It has a
someone.
negative connotation to it, being a feminist?
Yeah.
Yes.
apparently.
So basically, let me tell you something. My friend's cousin
Yeah.
came from Iran and traveled here, came to London.
Okay.
And we went out, and the cousin was a male, right? And so we were talking about different things, and I said, well, yeah, this is what a feminist would do. And then he was like, oh, yeah, oh, you're a feminist. That's why.
It's like filthy.
آره feminista همه بعد and then when he wanted to like, and then when his sister cousin came to like back me up, he was like,
Yeah.
shut up Baba, you're all feminists.
So?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So this is
Okay,
another
so clearly,
thing that,
yeah, I mean,
it's a
I'm
clash.
just like, wow.
yeah. Well, listen, the other thing that I noticed is that like the beauty standards, one sense of fashion are
Oh my God.
completely different for
Hello.
Russian Iranians. But can I just ask, like, since when was it in style to wear 50 million brands like Gucci hat, Louis Vuitton belt? Like, so many brands have been ruined for me because of Iranian men and women. Like, why do you have to wear all your money on yourself? Like, why can't you just dress normally? And
However, I
why?
have
Tell me
seen
why is it?
non-Iranians doing that too.
Yeah, a lot of what? Sorry.
If I had money, I would do that. Sorry.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
that's the
I
difference
think that's
between me and you.
I think that's a چی میگن, that's a characteristic thing and not a
No,
Iranian
it is a
type
fob
of thing.
thing.
Because
It
I
is
feel
such a
Nicki
fob
Because
thing.
there's so
Minaj
many
or-
fake shit in Iran, so they
Yeah.
buy off-white for $20 and they
It's
wear
like their
it.
value comes from what they put on their bodies, like their clothes.
I was actually talking to the boyfriend of mine, and then I
the
was
boyfriend.
like, did you like tell me about your experiences
Yeah.
with fob girls? And he
Okay.
was like, oh my god. I'm like, what? And then he's like, I went out with this girl, and she was wearing this Golgari shirt, and I was like, no.
Please,
Very
madam.
good.
What's
Golgoli
Golgoli?
is trendy
Gol-
now.
Like very.
What's
like,
Golgari?
I like
Floral-
a lot
floral,
happening,
Like
I guess.
pattern,
Floral pattern
like
and
flower
stuff, yeah.
patterns. And
Yeah. Okay, but also like when it comes to makeup, my God, like this is one of the reasons why I do not go to Persian makeup artists, because it's like, oh, here, let me get my makeup gun ready. Okay, you're ready. Since when was it like that? I'm sorry, but that does not look good. So I don't mean to be offensive, but clearly there are differences in.
I don't think nowadays like all Iranians are like that, or the Iranian makeup. They are quite updated with the world trends in terms of like looks and appearance and like fashion and makeup stuff.
Okay, so I guess it's the ones that I've seen.
A little
it
older
hasn't
one.
changed
Yeah, maybe.
yet. What I think hasn't changed yet is they are not updated with the world's change in terms of human rights and women and children's rights and etc.
Yeah,
etc.
absolutely.
So like,
I
there
mean,
is
dating a
very
16-year-old is
common-
okay. So
Gee?
I said dating a 16-year-old is okay to some of them. So
Dating
clearly,
a 16-year-old is okay.
Yeah.
Body shaming is okay. It's very okay because it shows that you care. Actually, if you body shame someone, like
judging
don't you
people
wanna-
is
don't you-
okay.
Gee?
Like, judging people is okay by their
Yeah,
appearance.
it's
Walking
like
on the
just-
street.
It's as if there is nothing else to talk about. So when مثلا Kyan and Taraneh and Shirin are going out to hang out with each other, let alone dating, like there is so much body shaming in relationships that I can't even tell you about all the messages that I get. But for instance, don't you think that if you change this part of your body, you will look better? Or, oh my God, look at your
Yeah.
such and such.
Yeah.
Don't you think that you can make it better? This is
update
such
it,
a
yeah.
normal thing, and this is such an Iranian
You're right. Well, that's what I meant with when
Yeah.
beauty standards, like to them, it's like the
You
more
have
the
to do
surgery, the
this.
more surgery, the better. You're doing great, honey. You look great.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So, I mean, listen, when we want to compare, when we ask the question of can a Fabi Iranian have a successful relationship with a Western Iranian, there are exceptions to this. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned before, it's the only exceptions the only exceptions are the only time I in my view that I've seen exceptions to this rule is when, for example, the Western Iranian is not Western at all, and they identify more with the Fabi end of
Just like my
Iranians.
boyfriend.
So they have more of
Yeah.
this. It really works for them. So that's the only time that I think it can work. Other than that, listen, I've been through it, and I will say, fuck that. I will never go through that experience again.
But yeah, you're right. This
Yeah.
is just like me and my boyfriend. The boyfriend.
Me and the boyfriend.
He is pretty
the
like
boyfriend.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he was in Quebec, so like he had all French friends,
Right.
and then here he had all white friends, but still. He is walking in the house and singing Dariush, so it works.
There you go. It works for you.
Yeah.
So
Great. Yeah.
Um,
It's about finding the match.
But for having fun, it's interesting to date a Westernized because he or she has a lot of things that you don't know about. So it's fun to explore. You know?
you mean with other cultures too, or
Well, yeah.
I think, well,
I
that's
think you
part of the
have to
reason.
have the ability to be so flexible in terms of like adopting yourself.
If you're
an
bored
adopted
and you want to have
person-
some fun, you're bored, you
Yeah.
want to have some fun, and you want to try some new experiences.
Right.
Sure.
Listen, I agree. I mean, there was a time when I was curious about the Italian culture, and
Yeah.
there happened to be a Italian film director that I was like, oh, I want to explore his world for a little bit, not intending to end up in a full-time relationship. You know, a few dates. You know what? That's the whole point of dating. You
Yes.
learn from each other. It doesn't have to be sexual or whatever. You know how some people
Like
make it
with
out to be.
Persian guys, I always went out for dinners, but then there was this Italian guy that we went to a boxing match for the first day, which was so cool.
Right. You learn a lot that way. I mean, to be honest, like part of the reason why I fell into a relationship with the fob Iranian was because I grew up on the east coast of Canada, and I don't know if you guys are aware, there's not that many Iranians there. So when I first moved to Toronto, I was craving our culture. I wanted to be immersed in Persian culture.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know, I guess it made sense for me to date a Fabi Iranian. At the time
Yeah.
it made sense, but boy, it's just...
But okay, honestly,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
But I really, as an experienced girl, want to really tell people that it's not about just fobs with Persian values dating Persian with Western values, which is like this is here, this is there, so they're different. In general, people should, it's not should not, but when people date each other with different values, it just doesn't work. There are a lot of problems that
Period.
would come up your way.
Right.
So why would you do that? Like it's love is not enough. If you have different values,
Yeah.
you have different
Yeah.
common activities,
It's never
it doesn't
gonna
work.
work.
If you love to stay home, for example,
Yes.
on the weekends, and then your partner loves to go out clubbing, how is that gonna work?
In what fucking world? Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, what I can leave our audience with, Persian ladies out there, like, know yourself. Be your authentic self. Trust me. The more you are who you truly are, the more you put that out there, the right ones will come into your world. And listen, you want this, you don't want that. So that's all I got.
So
I mean, for those
let's
who
not.
are listening to us and not watching us, Kyan is showing her hands being
This is
into
me.
each other
This is my
and being
perfect
separate
match.
from each
This
other.
is my perfect
Sorry.
match. This is not a perfect match. This is okay.
So I
This
think
right here.
fobs should date fobs and non-fobs should date non-fobs.
Depending on how you identify yourself, yes.
Yes.
I think that
That was the
as
longest
a
pause.
conclusion, the boss has to speak, who is
Oh.
me.
Who's that?
Thought it was
Duh,
me.
me. Nah, so you both said your conclusions. Let me tell you my conclusion as
Let's
well.
hear it.
I
Please.
think it's relative. Yes, if you want to have fun and explore, you should be dating whoever the fuck you want. Yes, but if you want to invest your time and energy into someone, and if you know that you are certainly like lean towards a certain culture, don't waste your time into like finding someone just because they speak the same language as yours doesn't mean that they share the same values as you.
Preach
Exactly.
that. Amazing.
Exactly.
Even
Sadat
like,
Allahu al-Aliyyul Azim.
before we go, even different families have different values. So find families from like the same level as yours. You know, like yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
bye.
had one other point that I didn't say, but it's okay. We can talk about it in the comment section with you guys. So leave your comments with us.
And please do leave us
please.
comments and say what you think.
Tell
You know,
us
I
what
want to
you
know what you
think.
think.
Do you agree? What do you think? Is it possible
Yeah.
for a fob Iranian
And if you're
to date a Western
someone, yeah, if
Iranian?
you're someone that this relationship worked out for you, let
Tell
us know
us
how.
about it.
Yeah.
We're curious.
Exactly.
And please
And
subscribe,
sabeskerai.
guys.
So scared.
Yes.
Thank you.
Love you. Thank you for listening
Get some wine
to us.
tonight. Bye bye.
This is another episode of Unmarried Persian Girls. Use the hashtag UPG show. Our page on Instagram is at upg.official. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Leave us comments, like, share. Love you. Bye.
Just gave people a kiss.